Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'm grateful to be here, connecting with all of you today, and I'll speak today on the topic of when things go wrong, as they often do in life, how to be when things go wrong. I'll use this as a whiteboard. Hopefully things don't go wrong here. So there are two choices we have. We can either be resentful or we can be resourceful. So we'll see how we can choose to be resourceful when things are going wrong. And I'll speak this based on an incident from the Ramayana. The Ramayana itself is a well-known and celebrated epic. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Krishna Samhita explains that the sacred stories like in the Bhagavatam, the Mahabharata, Ramayana, they can be understood at three levels. You can refer to them as the acronym LAD, L-A-D. So, L is at a literal level. At a literal level, we just delight in the story. And this is wonderful. The story is intriguing. And if you understand at literal level, we all need some level of entertainment. Yukta ahar viharasya. Krishna says, vihar, we need entertainment. So, at this level, it can be pious entertainment for us. People watch mundane action movies and romance and all kinds of things. Now, all those things are there in these epics. So, at a literal level also they are very attractive. In the second level, so this he says is primarily for the Kanishta. At the introductory level, Kanishta is the first level at which people approach at a literal level. And the second is the analytical level. This is where often those who are Madhyama, those who are above the Kanishta level. So now he is not necessarily using here the words Kanishta, Madhyama, and what is the third word be? Uttama, yes. He does not necessarily use the words in the same sense in which they are used in the nectar of devotion as you normally hear. He is just talking about three levels. See, Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama are just generic words in Bengali and to some extent Sanskrit also to refer to multiple levels. So those who want to go above the literal level, they try to analyze. And in the analytical, sometimes they look for ethical lessons. Okay, I'll explain what ethical means is that you look for what did this character do at this point? What was the right choice? Did they make the right choice? What else could they have done? Then another is also metaphorical. Where what does this character represent? What does this incident represent? So for example, Ravana is also seen metaphorically as what? He's the embodiment or personification of something. What is that?
Lust.
Lust, yes. So who is Ravana is important. We'll get a historical answer for that. But then what is Ravana? That is self-seeking desire that becomes utterly destructive. Destructive for others and destructive for oneself. So now at this level, one gets guidance. We learn how we should act in our life. And then beyond that is the devotional or the transcendental level. Here we see everything simply as Leela. And we understand all the events in such sacred texts are ultimately arranged by the Lord for His purpose. And at this point, here there is basically relish. We don't seek to analyze too much, we want to relish the pastimes. Now those who are at the Uttam level can also come to the Madhyam level and analyze. But they don't delight in that. They are delighting, oh, this is my wonderful Lord and he did this, and those who associated with him did this. Just their heart delights in that. Now Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes it very emphatic that people who are at the Madhyam level, they often look down at those who are at the literal level. What is this? You hear the stories and you're hearing the same stories again and again, and some of the stories have some fantastic elements. This is childish. So Madhyama, their mistake is that often they equate literal with the devotional. Devotees may also seem to be taking things at literal level, but devotees are understanding this is not just a story for entertainment, this is the ultimate reality. And these two are not equal. Now in general, for us to learn and benefit, which level do you think will be the most helpful among these three levels? Sorry? The Madhyam level, yes. The analytical level. And so, let's take a simple example to illustrate this. Say, Prabhupada at one level says the Kurukshetra battle is historical. Kurukshetra is a place that exists. It's literal. But then, Prabhupada also takes it at an ethical level, for example. He says that in the first canto, first chapter purport, he says that how Arjuna is thinking carefully before acting. And that shows Arjuna's readiness to receive the exalted wisdom of the Bhagavad-gita. Or Prabhupada takes another perspective. In ethical, second chapter says Arjuna is in tears. This shows that although he is speaking big words, he really doesn't know the ultimate reality. And he is attached. So Prabhupada is doing an ethical analysis over here. Now, especially with respect to sacred characters, when we do ethical analysis, it's important to understand that our focus is not on who is right. It is more on what is right. That's why you will see, as I mentioned, Prabhupada in the first chapter and the second chapter purports seems to take slightly opposite text. Say Arjuna is so thoughtful, he's ready for the knowledge of the Bhagavad-gita. Arjuna is attached, everybody is suffering from his skin disease, that's why he's having tears. So the point is, Prabhupada is giving us lessons. Yes, before acting, we should think. And then we shouldn't be attached to externals, to the physical level. There's more to us. So this is ethical level. And Prabhupada also speaks at the devotional level where he says that actually Arjuna's confusion at the start of the Gita was an arrangement of Krishna, so that Krishna could speak the Bhagavad-gita. So these three are distinct levels at which we can understand scripture. And in general, for us, if we want the guidance for our lives, Prabhupada's purports, or in general when our acharyas do katha, they tell the stories, but they also give some lessons, devotional lessons, practical lessons, and that's where they're analyzing it at an ethical level. And sometimes they also analyze at a metaphorical level. But the metaphorical level is not wrong, but it can become problematic, especially when it replaces the literal level. And they say, okay, actually there is no Kurukshetra war, it only symbolizes the human body and the battle between lower and higher desires. When it's reduced only to symbolism, it becomes a problem. But there can be symbolic meanings to things. So for example, Devaki had 6 children who were killed. And those 6 children represent the 6 anarthas. And those need to be removed from our heart before the Guru and the Lord will actually appear over there. It's like Balaram and Krishna appeared. So there are metaphorical meanings. But The key is when we have metaphorical meanings, the metaphorical meanings should be a complement. Complement means in addition to, or you can say complement means they complement. Complement means they complete, or supplement means they add. They can be a complement or supplement. That's okay, but they should not be a replacement. To what? To the literal. They are not a replacement to the literal. Okay. So now with this background, this might seem a little philosophical, but let's move forward. What is the topic I said I will be discussing? Do you remember what we will discuss?
When the things go wrong.
Yeah, I thought already something has gone wrong. Okay. So, we'll talk about the incident from the Ramayana, which is probably one of the most traumatic incidents. That is the abduction of Sita. Now, we will talk about it from Sita's perspective here. How she acted. See, generally, when things go wrong, it can be broadly due to our mistakes, others' mistakes, and things beyond our control. All these three can combine. And quite often, when things go wrong, our mind can interpret that in different ways. See, in life, things go wrong for everyone. And we are not perfect, we commit mistakes. And sometimes others commit mistakes, and because we live in an interconnected world, we have to suffer because of their mistakes. Sometimes say if somebody is driving a car and they're just driving carefully and somebody is drunk and that person is driving. So in that case it's clearly somebody else's mistake. Sometimes they are driving and maybe they didn't check the brakes of the car and the car skids off the road and they press the brakes and the brakes won't happen. So they could say it's their mistake. Sometimes they're just driving a car and they get caught in the storm, and the storm or tornado or something is so severe that the car itself gets swept away. Then it's something beyond our control. So, generally speaking, everyone in life will have things going wrong. And when things go wrong, basically at that time, we lose something. We lose something dear. Maybe, say, if our car gets just thrown upside down, we get injured, our car gets damaged, accident occurs, there's a loss of maybe limb or loss of health, loss of wealth, whatever. So loss comes in our life. And at such times, how does our mind interpret? So that is what we will try to see, and we'll try to see how it can be minimized or avoided. The negative interpretations of the mind. So now, in this case, Sita had insisted to Ram that I will come with you to the forest. And they had gone through almost the entire exile. How many years was the exile? 14 years. And nearly 13 years, little less than 13 years, were over. And it seemed like, okay, things had been bad, but not very bad. There had been one demon, Kabanda, who had one time abducted Sita, and then Lord Rama and Lakshman had rescued her. He not really abducted, he just grabbed her, and then they Kabandha Bahu Uchchedana Rama. So Lord Rama cut off his arms and they survived. So apart from that, there had not been any major incidents. And then, now, they suspected something might go wrong because of the confrontations of the Rakshasas. Basically, there had been 2 confrontations. Which were the 2 confrontations? Just in those last phase, before the abduction, there had been 2 confrontations with the Rakshasas. Do you remember? Yes. Kharadushana, and before that? Yes. Shurpanakha, yes. Shurpanakha. So now what had happened was, Shurpanakha had tried to attack Sita, and then Lord Rama had ordered Lakshmana to stop her, and she had felt humiliated because she had been mutilated. And then Kharadushana had attacked, and Lord Rama had single-handedly defeated all of them. So now there was some fear that something might go wrong. And then, whenever there is a war, generally, when the enemy seems to be retreating, it's quite likely that they are going back to regroup for a bigger attack. So now, when this was happening, this was what actually happening. So Shurpanakha triggered Ravan's lust, and then Ravan decided to use Marichi. And then there was a certain level of tension. Sita was confident, Rama and Lakshmana were quite capable of protecting her. But still, if there is danger, there has to be a certain level of alertness. And then this magical deer came over there. Now, when this magical deer came, what happened? It started playing around. And it started playing around. Their hermitage, Sita saw it, and she was captivated. Now, we may say, why does she have to become captivated by a deer? The all-attractive Lord is there next to her. So the Lord is already dear to her. So why did a deer become dear to her? Now, the thing was that she was not just selfishly attracted to the deer. She thought, because there's been all this tension, okay, this deer is going to be there, this deer can be our pet, you can play with it, there will be some relief. And then she said that this deer is so beautiful. Even when she was in the forest, she was thinking back of her family. And she thought, say if we are in America over here, when you're going back to India, we take, many of us fill suitcases with gifts. And we take those gifts home to give to our loved ones. So Sita thought that, this deer can be a gift to Kaushalya. This is a memento from our forest day. So we could say how things went wrong. The first was, it didn't seem to be wrong. There was this deer. The deer that became deer. Now at this level, you could say, the desire was, at one level, it was a selfless desire. She wanted some personal pleasure, but much more, she said, this deer can be a special gift. So Lakshmana also said, this is the kind of deer we never see. So Lakshmana was suspicious, but the very thing that made Lakshmana suspicious made Sita even more desirous. He says, because no one has seen a deer like this, therefore it will be a special gift. Isn't it? So, the same thing can be perceived in different way. Was suspicious, or you could say desirous. Someone nobody has seen. So she chose to be desirous. And then Rama agreed. Rama went out to search for, to get the deer. He went far away. Lord Rama is known as Amogha Sharam. His arrows never miss its target. In this case, he chased the deer because Maya Mrugam Anvadhavad. Maya Mrugdaitaya Ipsitam Anvadhavad. He ran after that deer. Why? It was not that the deer was dear to him. He didn't want to kill the deer initially. He wanted the deer alive that he could give to Sita. So he kept chasing him. The deer went far away. And then as per plan, we know that when Maricha was about to die, Lord Rama realized this is not an ordinary deer. This is jumping up, coming down, high up, disappearing, appearing. This is a demon. So he decided to kill it. And just when he shot the arrow, that time Maricha called out to Rama. Called out to Rama? No. Lakshman. He called out to Lakshman. And Lakshman was confident nothing is wrong. But Sita felt anxious. Now what happens is that generally if we tell someone to do something for us and then the very thought that they might get into trouble because they were doing something for us, then that fills us with greater anxiety than usual. If they had gone to do something which they wanted and then something happens, anytime anything bad happens to anyone who is dear to us, it's difficult to bear. But if they have gone out to do something for us, then the thought that they might have got into trouble, that becomes unbearable. So, when Abhimanyu was sent into the Chakravyuh on the 13th day, and Abhimanyu was killed, Yudhishthir felt shattered by that. Because it was to do his bidding that Abhimanyu had gone. In fact, Yudhishthir was so disturbed, he said, I will break into the Kaurava ranks and I will either avenge the death of Abhimanyu or I will die myself. At that time, Vyasadeva had to come and stop. So, now when she sent Lakshman away, it was out of natural concern. Natural concern plus concern for the fact that Lord Ram had gone for my sake. So there was generally Lakshman was very submissive and Sita was also always very almost maternal to him. They had a very sweet relationship. And this was the first really bitter interaction. When we love someone and then we have unpleasant interaction, a fierce interaction, that already leaves a sour taste in our mouth. Why did this happen? Why did this person have to behave like this? Why did this person not listen to me? Now, Sita spoke some words which she regretted afterwards. But it was not that she thought Lakshman was like that. But she just wanted to somehow get Lakshman to go. So now, already, what did I speak to him? Generally, if we care for people, then we also understand their expressions. And when we understand their expressions, so when we speak some words, what impact those words have on them, we can observe. So in general, when people speak harshly, it is good to consider the circumstances. So the principle here is, don't see intention in what is spoken in tension. So, how could Sita have spoken something like this to Lakshman? Did she think that he was so degraded? No. The point was, in tension, we all sometimes may speak something. Life can get to us. The best of us can sometimes be a victim of circumstances. Now, that doesn't completely excuse our words, but at least it makes them understandable. So if it's a one-off thing, don't take it too seriously. So that's a different incident. But so already there was some regret about the way the things had happened, the regret about the words she had spoken. She still wanted Lakshman to go. Because, what's wrong? He said, no, you may be in danger. Says, no, Ram is in danger. Says, a natural sign of love is that more than our concern for ourselves is our concern for our object of love. So Sita's insistence that Lakshmana go away was in no way was anything wrong. Then Ravana was just waiting over there. As soon as Lakshmana went away, Ravana sprang in. And he couldn't get Sita to come out. Now, in later retellings of the Ramayana, the Lakshmana Rekha is clearly mentioned. So, when he couldn't get Sita to come out, Sita said, please wait, my husbands will come back and they will serve you. She was a cultured lady, so she respected the sage and she respectfully kept a distance from him. She says, I'm hungry, give me food right now. He says, and he, generally speaking, we all have certain good qualities and maybe certain bad qualities. Now we all understand that our bad qualities, we need to be cautious about it. If somebody has a tendency to spend a lot of money. Maybe they go to a shop and there are people who are shopaholics. Like shop till you drop. So it's like just if somebody has a tendency, then we have to guard against our vices. We have to have boundaries against them. But in this case, Sita, it's when we do something bad and we suffer, we still feel bad about it. But when we have a virtue, we don't spend money carelessly. But say if somebody is in need, we give money to them kindly. We give charity. And then somebody exploits us for our charitable nature. Now then we feel very bad. When I do good and I get bad, then it is not just a feeling of betrayal from that person, but it's also, what kind of world do I live in? And what kind of person am I? That I couldn't judge this person's character. So in the case of Ravan, it was Sita's service attitude that he exploited. Ravan said, I'm hungry right now. If you don't give me food, then do you want to risk the curse of a sage? Do you want that curse to fall on your entire family? And then, as soon as Sita came out, she was abducted. Now here, we could say, at this point, coming out of the boundary, this you could say was a mistake at one level. But it was a mistake wherein what had happened was her good intentions and her good qualities, they were exploited by Ravan. So what happens is, when something like this happens, see, whenever we commit a mistake, it's natural. If we get consequences, we feel bad. But when our virtues are exploited by someone, then there's a big sense of betrayal. So the betrayal can be about that person. How could this person hurt me? It could be about the world itself. This is even worse. The world is a terrible place. I was in California and I saw a car bumper, a sticker, it had a quote. The more I get to know people, the more I love my dog. So sometimes people just start thinking that everybody is untrustworthy. And the worst is ourselves. That means, this person is untrustworthy, the world is untrustworthy, and third is, I am myself untrustworthy because I could not read this person. So I can't trust myself. When that happens, the person, it becomes very difficult to process. Now after that, as Ravana was abducting, carrying her away, she saw Jatayu. Now Sita was after all, a warrior's queen. So she knew this. She could immediately assess the comparative strengths of different warriors. And so she immediately called out to Jatayu. She says, please tell Ram that I am being abducted. And she says, please don't fight against this Ravan. Because he is too strong for you. Now to her horror and dismay, Jatayu flew straight. And sometimes one of my relatives is slowly becoming a devotee, but he is also a very avid cricket fan. So he was telling me that when India lost in the World Cup finals, it was like, he felt it was like you are seeing a ship sinking and you are hoping in his hope some miracle will happen, the ship will not sink. But it is just sinking, it's sinking, it's sinking, it's sinking. Sometimes it appears it's not sinking, you think there's something happening, but then it just sinks. So Sita was somehow hoping that maybe Jatayu will win. And initially it seemed as if Jatayu might win. And Jatayu just ripped off the arms of Ravan. Jatayu destroyed the chariot of Ravan. And it was formidable what he did. It was stunning. But Jatayu was just, he was also a protector. And his protective instincts empowered him. But the problem was that he was old and his energy started going down. He kept fighting. But while his speed started decreasing. And Ravan initially thought, this is a pesky vulture, what is he going to do? But he saw it as so powerful. Ravan was a sure warrior. So Ravan initially just kept dodging the blows of Jatayu. And he was waiting. So, and this Jatayu came into attack. And because he was tired, he tried to move away. Just couldn't move away fast enough. And his wings were long enough. Now here, Jatayu had become something like a father figure for Sita Ram Lakshman. He had been a friend of Dashrath. So when this happened, it was, we could say, it was, at this level, it was her mistake. Now was this Jatayu's mistake? Now we can say Jatayu attained martyrdom. And Jatayu, fortunately or determinedly, stayed awake or stayed alive, held on to his life till Ram came in and he informed Ram. But Sita did not know this. So Ravan just swooped over her again, grabbed her, and then started taking her toward Lanka. Now we see that here, one after another, so many things have gone wrong. There's a good desire, then there's good intention, but the good intention is exploited, and then it's her mistake, it's others' mistake. What is going on? Generally, processing one bad thing that happens to us is difficult enough. But if multiple bad things start happening, it can become very difficult to process. And when multiple bad things start happening, then it is easy to become resentful. Oh, the world is a terrible place. Everything is terrible. And then we can also, it's ironic that the more we become resentful, the more we also tend to become hopeless. The more resentment fills inside us, the more hope comes away. So both of these, resentment and hope, they are associated with things outside of us or things beyond us. Hope is that whatever is beyond my control will work out for good. Resentment is whatever is beyond my control, why is it working out so terribly? So when one starts increasing, the other starts decreasing. And generally, as I said earlier, loss is something which everyone faces in life. Everyone, somebody may lose a job, somebody may maybe lose an opportunity for a promotion, somebody may lose a competitive opportunity to get into a particular college. A loss is generally painful. The only loss that is joyful is weight loss. All other losses are painful. But then, how much pain? So, at one level, so this is the event. Event was there's some loss. Now there is how we experience the event. That is based on the mind's interpretation. The mind's interpretation is, okay, so an objective level body, I have lost. Okay, I had this opportunity, but I lost this opportunity. But a worse interpretation could be, I am lost. So I have lost means I am going on the way, but I couldn't get it. Now I am lost means I don't even know where to go. I'm just lost. But the worst interpretation is, I am a loser. Now, once our mind starts interpreting like this, Krishna. So, I am a loser. This is where a person can become not just depressed, but a person can even become suicidal at this point. So the event itself will be terrible, but how we interpret that event, or rather how our mind interprets that event, can make it 100 times worse. When people become suicidal, it's very rare that actually it is the complete end of the world. Yeah, this may have gone wrong, that may have gone wrong, but tomorrow is a fresh day. And there is always hope. But the mind's interpretation can be devastatingly negative. Now, Sita could just have given into helplessness. But she did not do that. As Ravan was carrying her through the air. So at that time, she was looking down, she was calling out to someone. And was there anyone? You cannot just keep calling out also. The calling out, screaming is also exhausting. But then she saw there's some monkey-like beings over there. And she called out, help, help, and they looked up. And they looked up, they were so far high up that they couldn't help. But she saw that they had kind-looking faces. And then, what can I do? So Ravan was carrying her, Ravan was thinking, there's no danger for me. So he was not even noticing what she is doing. So immediately, while Ravan was holding on to her, she took out some of her ornaments. And she put them in a cloth and she hurled it down towards those beings. Now, if you can imagine how fast this has to be actually done, see something and then see someone down and throw it. Now, it was a small act, but that became later on a vital clue. A vital clue for Ram to find out where Sita was and to later on find Sita basically. So first is to know the general direction and then to know the specific destination. So what Sita did was, in that situation there's very little that she could do. But it might be a small act, just send those jewels down. But that indicated that she had not lost hope. She knew that when she's gone to big trouble, the Lord is not going to forget her. Lord Rama will search for her. And that's what eventually enabled her to stay patient and persistent. Even when Ravana was tempting her, Ravana was threatening her for the long time, it was around 11 months that she was in the custody of Ravan, but it felt more than 11 years. But through it all, she was able to maintain her hope. And this is the key for us. We, sometimes what happens is, situations, or rather we can say the world, can make our power less. It means, okay, I had this much job, I had this much money, I had this kind of influence, but then things change. The world can make our power less, but our mind can make us powerless. So, when our power becomes less, our mind makes us believe that we are powerless. Now, we are never powerless. In whatever situation we are in, we can always do something. If nothing else, we can at least remember Krishna. And remembrance Krishna, we say, what problem is it going to solve? Well, okay, even if it doesn't solve a problem, it will at least prevent the negativity from consuming us. It will at least prevent the problem from becoming bigger than what it needs to be. So as devotees, even when our power has become less, we still have the power to somehow remember Krishna and then to serve Krishna. Now, the exact way we may remember may vary. If we are in a country, say for example, I was a few months ago in the Middle East, there are lots of Indians and lots of devotees there. They cannot go out into public kirtan, they can't do public distribution. But within homes and within halls, they're having a vibrant yatra. So many people are practicing bhakti over there. So, with respect to remembering and serving, the form may change. How we remember Krishna may change. How we can serve may change. Sometimes in particular situations we can do one service, but sometimes that service will become impossible for us. When that happens, then we need to remember that, okay, how can I serve Krishna? Okay, maybe I cannot go to temple and do physical service, but maybe I can just call some people, invite them, come to temple. There's always some opportunity for service, and it's not just service in terms of what we go to temple and do. Service, it could be in terms of family responsibility, professional responsibility, in every area of our life. Like the example, I'll conclude with this example, that the Ganga always finds a way to go toward the ocean. When it is blocked, it may go up, it may go down, it may go round, or it may just erode the rock and move forward. But it finds a way. So like that, as devotees, do we understand that whatever situation we are put in, whether it is because of my mistake or somebody else's mistake, whatever it is, ultimately Krishna has not abandoned me. So Sita's resourcefulness that came from this one faith that the Lord will never abandon me. Now, while we may not be as dear to the Lord as Sita was, but the principle still remains true. The Lord never abandons us. And because the Lord never abandons us, we should never abandon hope. Okay, in this situation, what can I do? How can I remember Krishna? How can I serve Krishna? How can I act in a way to do something about the situation in a mode of service? If we keep asking these questions, we'll find that even within the less power that we have, there are things we can do. And in their own course of time, Sita did not know when Ram would come and rescue her. So we can't always know when things will become better. But they will. So whether it is our mistakes, it is others' mistakes, sometimes it is good to analyze and learn. But in trying to analyze and learning, I think we shouldn't get so caught in that analysis and learning that we start beating ourselves up for our mistakes, we start hating others for their mistakes. Oh, we say, okay, whoever made whatever mistake, Krishna's plan is still working. And let me try to see how I can play my part. How can I focus on doing what I can? So when we say service attitude, seva bhav, what it means is we should be Krishna conscious, not mistake conscious. Now, certainly we shouldn't be mistake unconscious. Yeah, we have made mistakes, we have to learn from it. And we shouldn't be karma conscious. We want to be Krishna conscious. Okay, this was my karma, this was that person's karma, whatever it is. But whatever be the karma, whatever be the mistake, the important thing is that Krishna's plan is still working. And we keep faith in the fact that Krishna's plan is still working, then we will be resourceful. And eventually Krishna will take us out of that situation, as he eventually came and rescued Sita. So I'll summarize what I discussed today. We broadly discussed on the topic of when things go wrong, what to do. So the first point I discussed was how to see the Ramayana at 3 levels. Does anyone remember 3 levels? L, A and D. So literal is at the level where most of the Kanishthas see. And then A was analytical, where we try to analyze the scripture. And in this we discussed 2 levels. Ethical, metaphorical. So, and then last was devotional. So at a literal level you just focus on the story. At the devotional level, just see everything as the Lord's Leela. Now it is this level, analytical level, where we can often get practical guidance for our life in functioning. And then we discuss about when things go wrong. Broadly, it could be because of 3 factors. What are the factors? Our mistakes, others' mistakes, and then then just events, things beyond our control. So, when I was giving this class, once a person said, God's mistakes. Well, not really. We make mistakes and God fixes our mistakes. But we think that God has made a mistake and I need to fix it. So, things beyond our control. And then we discussed the abduction of Sita. Elaborately, how in almost several places it was her good intention. Right, her desire for the deer was a noble desire. It was like a memento to give to her mother-in-law. Then even her harsh words to Lakshman, you could say they were a mistake, but it was at one level an understandable fear. Understandable fear that she had. He's gone away for my sake. Should be protected. Then the coming out of the boundary, coming out of the Lakshman Rekha. Well, that was what actually? It was her virtue, that was service attitude that was exploited. Then after that, she made a specific request to whom? To Jatayu. And Jatayu just didn't listen to her. Now, it was, she could have gotten to, he didn't listen to me, nobody listens to me, why is this happening to me? But in spite of all that, she remained resourceful. And when she got a small opportunity, she took that opportunity. How was she able to take that? Because of her faith. That no matter what happens, my mistake, whose mistake, whatever happens, the Lord never abandons. And it is with this faith that if we just are patient, we can be patient, we can be persistent, doing what is possible within us, And that way, even if the world makes us powerless, we won't become powerless. We won't let our mind make us powerless. We'll stay resourceful, doing what we can. And okay, how can I serve in this situation? How can I remember the situation? Remember Krishna in the situation. And in that way, we will find a way out of even the darkest situations. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, ma'am. If you had not asked a question, I would have thought something has gone wrong.
So, when things go wrong, how do we be more resourceful than resentful in our practical life and in our daily sadhana, chanting and following four regulative principles? What else we can do to be more in the basket of resourceful than resentful?
So, what can we do practically? See, we often say we should be dependent on Krishna and we should surrender to Krishna. See, nothing is in our control. But it's not that simple. No. Even when we say nothing is in our control, to realize that our mind has to be in our control. Isn't it? If our mind is out of control, we will not realize also nothing is in our control. So the idea is that control is a need, even a devotional need. But we use that need to surrender to the supreme controller. Materialistic people use control to become the supreme controller. Now that is a doomed endeavor. But everybody needs a certain level of control in life. So when we say understand that we are not controllers, that means we are not the supreme controllers. And that means, say for example, if this is the totality of reality. Now, sometimes my control may be this much. Our control and total reality. It could be a family reality, it could be professional reality, it could be our health. Now sometimes from this situation, what happens is, from here, what we control can become tiny. So when this happens, at that time, it's important to remember that what is beyond our control, it's not just out of control. See, most people, they want to increase their control desperately because they think that whatever is out of control or whatever is out of their control is completely out of control. It will all go chaotically. It will all work for our destruction. At a material level, yes, there is competition and there is some enmity also, that is true. But beyond the material reality, there is a higher level of reality. So, generally speaking, when we think that the only way we can function is when we have control, that's when the loss of control becomes completely unbearable. But when you understand that, okay, what's beyond my control, okay, Krishna will take care of it. Now, how exactly I do not know. Now, right now, I think this person is doing such terrible things, and where is Krishna? When is he going to help? All those questions are valid questions. But if we understand that Krishna is not completely out of the situation, Krishna is here somewhere, then when we don't have the desperate need that only by controlling can I protect myself, only by controlling can I do something, then we don't lament or resent the loss of that greater control we had. We focus on whatever little control we have. Srila Prabhupada went to America or came to America, initially, most of the people whom he met were people who were people from the counterculture, many of them were hippies, and these are completely wild people. Many of them. Now, initially the people in the counterculture were people who were thoughtful people, they just fed up with the materialism of life. But over a period of time, they started getting into drugs. They thought drugs will take them to spirituality. But as they got into drugs, drugs got into them. And then it was from drugs to spirituality, it just became drugs. And then it just became drugs without spirituality, drugs that took them against spirituality completely. So when Prabhupada talked with people, these were often what people you might consider as people as social rejects. But when Prabhupada was talking with them, Prabhupada gave them his full attention, full energy. Okay, this is the person that is there in front of me. Let me talk about Krishna with this person. So, let's say if we have that service attitude, okay, how can I serve Krishna right now? What happens is, service can also be done better if we have control. You can say that. It's true. But the point is that service attitude is what helps us to go on. So if we want to control, then we depend on externals. If we want to serve, then we can always find some way to serve. Maybe in a particular way we not be able to serve, we can only find some other way to serve. That's why that having that service attitude, knowing that Krishna is ultimately in charge of everything, okay, what can I do in this situation? So, we can translate this question. We often say, how can I serve Krishna? So now we can translate this question that Krishna is the well-wisher of everyone. Surudam sarvabhutanam. So if he is the well-wisher of everyone, that means he is my well-wisher also. Now Krishna's good wishes can happen to us. Things can happen to us which are good for us. But things which are good for us can happen also through us. So Krishna's good wishes can come to us through good things. So these to us, we can when? We may have to wait. We don't know. But through us, it can be right now. Okay, so if I'm sick and I'm in my bed and I can't do anything, then at least I can be polite and grateful to those who are caring for me. Sometimes people are sick and they make their caregiver sick of them. They are always complaining and blaming. It's sometimes understandable, but it's unfortunate. So if you have a service attitude, then okay, how, when you say now means, how can I make things better? Krishna is the well-wisher means Krishna wants things to be better. So, in a mood of service to Krishna, how can I make things better? So you just have that question. Like the well-known question is, why do bad things happen to good people? And it's a difficult question. You go to philosophy to answer that. But what the Ramayana and Mahabharata, especially what Sita's example demonstrates to us is that a different question. When bad things happen to good people, what do good people do? If you focus on that, then you always find some way to move ahead. So essentially you can say, change our driving question. Is not why did this happen, but how? How can I serve in this situation now? How do good people act in this situation? Okay? Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
All of this, like why do good things happen when people are actually on that path where they've lost hope? How can one motivate them? How can we motivate them to come back on the track where they can actually be resourceful, build that faith again, and proceed ahead?
If somebody has lost hope, How can we help them come back on track? It's difficult. It's two broad things. See, generally we have to find what matters most to people. And quite often, what matters most is not the same as what they feel matters most. The two are different things. Say, for example, somebody worked very hard to pass an exam and they just didn't pass it. My life is ruined now. Or somebody was in a relationship and the relationship broke down. And then they feel, okay, everything is lost. So now, quite often what happens is that what people feel matters most. This is lost. And that is why they are so devastated. But if we look within, if we just talk with them, okay, why does this matter so much for you? Okay, suppose somebody has an accident and they lose a limb, or it's very painful, no doubt. But okay, what was it that was so important about that? If we go down below, explore, there is a need. And then that need can be met in some other way. So as long as we can help them discover that need, then they can have hope. So if somebody is an athlete and that person gets a permanent injury in their life, they can never be an athlete. Now, there is no hope. But okay, why was becoming an athlete so important? If we go deeper into that, okay, maybe my life will have some value. I will do something noteworthy. Okay, then what other channels exist for you to do something noteworthy? So if somebody's relationship breaks down, and I think, okay, I'll always be alone. Nobody will ever care for me. Maybe something's wrong with me. I'm unlovable completely. Okay, then if that were the case, is it true that in your life nobody has ever loved you? Well, that has not happened to anyone. If that had happened, we wouldn't be alive here. Some people are definitely caring for us. So what we need to do is that there's the underlying interpretation that the mind has given about what is the cause of hopelessness. So that we need to be addressed. And that is where some spiritual wisdom helps. So I focus on the point that Krishna has a plan for your life. That's important. So that is more from you could say, from a perspective of faith, what is beyond our control. That will work out. Okay. But we can also go inwards at a more introspective level or psychological level to introspect. What is it that really matters for this person? And how can that be taken care of? Even small steps in that direction. See, many times people feel that, I have lost all self-confidence, I lost all self-esteem, I think my life is valueless. So, when a person has lost self-confidence or self-esteem or whatever, there are two ways. One is to offer them words of encouragement. And definitely these are required. Even a small word of encouragement can make a significant difference. But along with that, what is especially needed is that people need a sense of value for their life. That my existence matters. That I can make a difference in my inner world, difference in my outer world, whatever it is. So, we have to help them find some valuable pursuit. And then some doable steps toward that pursuit. So, sustainable good feelings. Good feelings may come when people encourage us, people appreciate us. That's true. Those are very external. Internally, when do we actually get good feelings from within? That is, when first we have something worthwhile to pursue in our life. And then whether we succeed or not, when Krishna says karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, what he is telling actually a deep psychological truth. That even if you look into neuroscience a little bit, it's more of when we are pursuing when we get something, somebody wants food to eat, somebody wants an attractive partner. After you get that, the pleasure is just short-lived. But when we believe that it is valuable, then in pursuing that there is some excitement. Now of course we may misunderstand what is valuable. An alcoholic may think getting a bottle of alcohol is valuable. That can be a misunderstanding over there. But the point is that the good feelings that come within our brain, they come not just when we achieve something desirable, but it is when we are pursuing something valuable. So now I may have thought that something is valuable and that is unattainable for me. But if there is something else that is valuable, underline that. And I can progress toward that. So that's why help them find something that they value right now. And then help them see what some tangible steps in that direction. Some doable steps. Maybe, so it's not easy sometimes if somebody is really hopeless. You have to spend time with them, understand them, but it is possible. That we give them hope not just by words of encouragement, but by giving them some direction. So, what that direction will be, that requires going a bit deeper into the psychology of that person. Ultimately, of course, what everyone needs is a connection with Krishna. But if you start with that, they will just feel we are being devotionally imposing things on them. So it's like what the Gita says, and this is a very important point. See, there is Artha and then there is Paramartha. Param Artha. So Artha can mean wealth, but Artha can also mean value. What is of Artha? So gradually from what is presently of Artha for us, we move towards the Paramartha. So the present Artha, for example, somebody say, for them money is the Artha right now. Now, is that a bad thing? If that remains the Artha forever for them, then that's definitely a problem. Making money matters, but what we are making with money matters even more. So money is Artha, but gradually by pursuing one Artha, the person can become more open to pursuing higher Arthas, higher meanings. Or somebody is sick, or they have a sickly body, and they pursue fitness. That's an Artha. But even by pursuing something that is of Artha, something of meaning, something of value for them right now, they will move upwards in their consciousness. So they will start getting those positive feelings from within. And every Artha is ultimately a pointer toward the Paramartha. So if somebody is feeling very glum and sorry for themselves, just tell them to do some good for someone. Maybe just go to soup kitchen and serve food to some poor people. You say, I am feeling so terrible. Just try to do it. And you go there and you see that you can actually do something of value for someone else. Then that gives some Artha in their life. And from there, they go upwards. Somebody comes to a temple and they serves prasad to people. And that can give some Artha. So they just to find out, what is of Artha for them right now, and how can we help them progress toward that Artha. Thank you. That's fine.
Now, when do we assess that a person might need a professional help? Like, we might come with all of these steps and things like that.
Okay, that's a very important question. See, professional help is not like a magic wand that can solve all problems. So, professional help is just an indication that the problem is a serious problem. And so, when can we say that if person expresses, first of all, if a person expresses any kind of suicidal intention, then I think at that point it's important. Now some people may use suicide like an emotional blackmailing tool. That's a different thing. But it's if somebody is expressing that in that kind of, like somebody says in anger, if you do this, I'll kill myself. That's one thing. But somebody is really in a dark place, not out of anger, but out of despair. That's a matter of concern. That's one thing. And second thing is that, so basically you could say when there is severe self-harm, either it is done actually or it is threatened. They will not threaten it in the sense that actually threaten them. They are actually saying, I'm thinking like this. Then at that time, there is a multi-pronged approach. The multi-pronged approach means that professional help may also be required. But professional help doesn't mean that then we have no longer any responsibility. Sometimes serious professional help may also mean that they may want to, others may also need to be involved, others may also understand the situation. So we have to see what is required. So basically, it is a multi-pronged approach. And professional help is an important prong within that. Spiritual help is an important prong. Emotional help is an important prong. But ultimately, even how do professionals ultimately help by helping people find something of value in life. So, in one sense, they will be more trained to probe into people's psychology and help them find out what is of value. But it's not an approach that should be ruled out. At the same time, that approach should not be treated like a magic wand. It's one important tool in a multi-pronged toolkit. Thank you. Any last question before we start? Do we have the books here? Yeah. So, thank you very much. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jai Gaur Premanande.
Jai.